Self-love will single-handedly change your life. Everything that you desire operates from the frequency of self-love. So you might be like, where do I begin? I literally hate myself. I hate my life. I hate my circumstances. And I just don't even know how to begin to cultivate the self-love that you're speaking about, the self-love that is transformative, that can transform your entire life. Well, that's what this video is about. If you're coming from a place of self-hatred, or even if you're like, well, I love myself, but maybe not to the extent that you're talking about, there are so many practices that you can do to cultivate radical self-love and self-acceptance. And I was one of those people that growing up, I literally hated myself. I hated my life. I was suicidal. I was depressed. I had eating disorders, and pretty much everything that I did internally was against myself. And I really had to learn throughout my whole life how to cultivate self-love. And I noticed that once I started to practice self-love, rather slowly, but still steadily, I started experiencing so many radical shifts in my life. And I'm still doing these things because I understand now that self-love can literally get you anything that you want. If not to cultivate a better sense of self, it can get you that partner you've always dreamed about. It can get you money. It can get you abundance. It can get you opportunities that you would have never gotten before because you had so many self-esteem problems and so much self-hatred, anxiety, and stuff like that. Once you start practicing self-love, the people around you will notice it. People will tell you that you're glowing. People will tell you that you look beautiful, or that they could tell that your confidence has improved. And once your confidence improves, so does your whole life. You start taking opportunities that you wouldn't have taken before because you had so much self-doubt or self-criticism, and you will stop holding yourself back. Like, it really helps you to get out of your own way and pursue your dreams and really create your dream life that you've always wanted. I see so much stuff these days about manifestation this and manifestation that, but if only people truly knew that all you have to do is practice self-love, and doors will start to open and you will start to be aligned with your highest timeline, then you'll see that it was so simple all along. People try so much. They write down their desires like 33 times or whatever, or they, do even spells. They do spells, but they don't believe that they're even going to work in the first place because they don't have enough confidence in themselves or in their abilities. And guess what? They don't manifest because it starts internally. It starts with you and your thoughts and actions and behaviors and the way that you think about yourself. So if you are one of these people who you look in the mirror and you just hate what you see, or you can't even look in the mirror because you don't even want to see. I used to be like that. I used to avoid mirrors because I didn't want to see like what my body looked like or what my face looked like. I remember when I was in like school, I would go into the bathroom and I'd be like, I can't even look in the mirror because I just hated the way I looked, and it would deplete my self-esteem if I looked in the mirror. And now every time I see a mirror, I gotta check myself out. And it's not even in a narcissistic way or being full of yourself. First of all, there's nothing wrong with being obsessed with yourself. I feel like we should be obsessed with ourselves. Obviously not to the point where we drag other people down, or that we, prioritize our needs over other people's needs. But I think that we should be in love with ourselves, because once we're in love with ourselves, we'll start to be in love with our whole lives. And we'll start to be able to, when we fill our cup, fill other people's cup. And I see so much hate in this world, and hatred and, violence and stuff. But it starts with ourselves, because we're always violent to ourselves. We say violent words to ourselves. We look in the mirror and we're like, oh God, that's awful. We really need to start cultivating peace with ourselves. World peace begins with ourselves and the way that we view ourselves. And kindness starts with ourselves, the way that we are like treat ourselves, you know. There are people who I know, and even myself included when I was like younger, who I would make an effort to be so kind and nice to other people and like really try to be like the difference in the world. But then I'd look at myself in the mirror and be like, not you though, like you're not worthy of it. We are worthy of our own kindness. We are worthy of peace. We are worthy of all of our desires. So this video is basically going to try to inspire you to find more self-love in your life and to really cultivate a self-love practice from the moment you wake up until the moment you go to sleep, because it is so important and it will change your life. So I'm gonna start by talking about the witchy practices that I've done to cultivate self-love, because you know me, like I am that witch bitch. So the first thing I ever did when I was experiencing so much self-hatred and self-doubt and criticism and body issues and eating issues and all that, the first thing I did when I walked into a witch store for the first time was get a rose quartz crystal. And I didn't even really know what rose quartz meant until it caught my eye, and I was like, I don't know why, but I want this crystal and I need it. And it was my first necklace, was a rose quartz crystal. It sort of looked like this, but it had a rose quartz crystal in there. And I know why that crystal called to me, because rose quartz is the self-love crystal. People might know of it, like especially on TikTok, because it is a love crystal. It can help inspire love. But most importantly, it helps inspire self-love. And if you feel called to grab a rose quartz crystal, it doesn't have to be as big as this. It could be any size. I have probably like 10 rose quartz crystals because I just love it. It's one of my favorite crystals for sure. And usually when I'm feeling overwhelmed or not feeling like my beautiful self, or just not like feeling slightly sad or something, I grab my rose quartz crystal and I cuddle with it, because it just has so many like healing energies that can help inspire self-love. It can help also heal physical wounds, like bruises and stuff. But I actually have a friend who she broke her foot, or she thought she broke her foot, but she couldn't go to the doctor. So she put a rose quartz crystal on her foot and it healed. But think of that in terms of your internal wounds as well. Like rose quartz can really help heal you internally as well. And it's just, even just gazing at it just brings me in a much better mood. So if you don't already have a rose quartz crystal, I highly recommend grabbing one. I have also made several self-love spell jars. If you're a beginner, I highly recommend starting with self-love, because you really can't mess it up. It's just even the intention that you are trying to increase your self-love helps to manifest and set that vibration in your life. I included a lot of the herbs that you can use for love can be used for self-love as well. It's just the intention behind it. Love for self rather than love for another. I know I used honey to sweeten my relationship with myself. Jasmine, I'm pretty sure there's catnip in there. Rose, of course. Rose is so beautiful for self-love. Salt for protection, and probably lavender. I can't really see what's inside it anymore, but I always seal it with a pink or a purple. I remember I made a self-love spell before and I sealed it with a purple candle. And I love making self-love spells because they're just so beautiful and nurturing. Like you're really setting that intention to create something that is for you and only you, and to increase a beneficial relationship with yourself. So whatever you put together is great. There's so many herbs for self-love. But even putting them in a bath and taking time to create that space for yourself in the bathtub and submerge yourself with those herbs would be great as well. So another way to cultivate self-love, which isn't necessarily a witchy way, but it can be, is self-care. Every time you take care of yourself, you are setting that intention to cultivate more self-love for yourself. I'm talking about buying yourself flowers. I'm talking about taking yourself on solo dates, like getting a pedicure or getting your nails done, taking yourself out to dinner or to grab a coffee, doing a face mask, taking a bath, like I just said. Anything that you do that is for yourself is a beautiful self-care practice. Maybe you need to spend some time alone and you need to meditate on it and really journal, maybe even journal about it to really unpack all the negative beliefs that you have about yourself. That can be really impactful as well. And like I said, just creating the space alone is enough to set that intention. Like, you're more in alignment with who you want to be and who you're not when you practice self-care. If you are watching this and you have been trying to manifest like a love partner, you're like, why can't I attract anybody in my life? Like, I get these connections but they never go anywhere, or like I've just been single my whole life, or even like you went through a breakup and you can't figure out how to navigate it. Self-love will help you to attract a partner. I was one of those people that like I could never find like somebody I could be serious with, and I would have connections but they would go nowhere and they would leave me even hating myself even more. And it wasn't until I was like, all right, I have to forget all of this stuff. Like, I have to just be single for a while. I have to focus on myself and really fix my relationship with myself. Literally, I'm not even kidding you. After I started doing self-care practices and self-love practices, I attracted my soulmate and we're married now. And it's just even better and better the more that I create self-love in my life. Because I'm sure you've heard the saying, like, nobody can love you until you love yourself. But the thing about it is, I've heard people say, well, that's not fair. Like, what if you're like depressed? Like, does that mean you're not worthy of love? That does not mean that you're not worthy of love. It means that you believe that you are unworthy of love, and that is what is preventing you from finding it. Not only that, but say you find somebody and you are in a relationship and you are in a space where you are like self-hatred, self-criticism, like you don't love yourself, and you're in a relationship. All that's gonna do is create more attachment to that person. You're gonna feel attached to that person, and if that person leaves you, you are gonna feel horrible. You're gonna feel depressed. You might even be suicidal. You might even feel like you cannot live your life without this person, and this person not in your life is really creating so much pain for yourself. There are so many people who are manifesting their ex back because they feel like that is the only person that they can have, or that is the only person for them. That's the person they want, and that's the person that they need. If that person focused their energy on creating more self-love and bettering their relationship with themselves, they will realize that they don't need to manifest their ex back, because if it's gonna work out, it's gonna work out, and it's gonna happen no matter what, and they're gonna be more attracted to you because you are more confident in yourself. And even if that relationship is done and you have your self-love practice that you've been cultivating, you're gonna attract so many more people with the confidence that you are generating. Your confidence is gonna, like, all eyes are gonna be on you when you walk through a room, because people are going to notice that. How many times have you walked down the street and you notice somebody and you're like, oh my god, that person looks so confident. They have a glow about them. There's like something special about them. It is because they're confident that you were noticing them. Even if you're not like so-called attracted to them, you are noticing them. Like, they're magnetic, and you can be magnetic too if you pour confidence into yourself instead of trying to find love from somebody else. The more you give your power away, the more that you are going to be stuck, and you're not going to be able to manifest the things that you want, and you're going to wonder where all the time went by when you could have been loving yourself the whole time despite your circumstances. So yes, I'm going to say it. You cannot love another person until you love yourself, because if you don't, You will love somebody based on attachment, based on hatred, self-hatred, based on like settling, feeling like you can't do better than that person. Guess what? You can always do better. And you need to love a person as a choice rather than a necessity. Relationships should be a choice, okay? You should be able to walk away whenever you need to. You should not feel like you are so attached to this person that you lose yourself. And radical self-love will change that, and you will manifest the perfect person for you that meets all your criteria and everything that you've ever wanted in life. I promise you that. Back to practices that you can do to help create more self-love. Affirmations, of course. I'm sure you've heard so many things about affirmations. Just even looking in the mirror and telling yourself, I love you, I love you, I love you. You are beautiful, you are special, you are radiant, you know. It might be corny at first, but you really just have to do it. Like, just look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I love you, like, you are beautiful. You are perfect, you know, like, the more you do it, like, genuinely fake it until you make it, the more you do it, you will believe it, and that's the key. You might start out and be like, oh God, this is so corny, I don't believe this at all, but you will get to a point, I promise you, if you keep doing even just like 10 affirmations a day of like self-love, you will get to a point where you believe it, and you'll look in the mirror and be like, I love you, you are beautiful, and you'll be like, I fucking believe it now. Like, I am beautiful. And even if you don't believe it and you start doing those affirmations, I promise you people will be like, wow, that color looks great on you. Wow, like, you are glowing, you know, you look beautiful. And you'll be like, oh, like, something shifts, you know, something shifted. And now they're noticing. And like I said, you don't need external validation to feel self-love, but it does help. And you will create more of that once you start affirming it to yourself. And just be consistent. It takes 21 days to form a habit. Okay, do 10 affirmations a day for 21 days. And you'll get there, I promise you. Okay, another tip is to not be afraid to experiment with makeup or clothing if you want. It took me a while. Like, I used to wear clothes like t-shirts and jeans and do horrible makeup and didn't really do much. I was sort of like a tomboy. That was sort of like what I wanted to do because I wasn't confident in any clothes. And I was actually like probably, oh God, like 50 pounds thinner than I am right now. And I hated myself. And I wore like literally baggy clothes because I couldn't see myself wearing anything else. Like, felt uncomfortable, I felt self-conscious. And once I started experimenting with clothing and really I had to get a little bit out of my comfort zone. I used to like never wear dresses. Now I always wear dresses and jewelry, and I started experimenting with makeup, and that does help build up your self-confidence. Of course you want to get to a place where you can go makeup-less and still feel good and confident about yourself. But you might not be at that point yet, and that's okay. So experiment with makeup and make yourself feel confident. Like, there is really nothing wrong with wearing makeup and experimenting with clothing. Like, find what feels comfortable for you. For some people, you might feel more confident wearing like I don't know, like streetwear. Like, you might not feel comfortable wearing dresses, but you're forcing yourself to wear dresses because you feel like you need to. Do what makes you feel comfortable, but also experiment a little, because you might surprise yourself. You might find that like what you've been doing all along is not working for you. Maybe you want to try a new aesthetic, or you want to try a new trend or something. Let yourself do that. Like, life is too short to try to be like, oh no, I'm so different. Like, I can't wear that because everybody else is. Maybe that's what you need to experiment with. Maybe you really need to like try that if your heart feels called to it. That's what I had to do. I had to like just be like, listen, I can listen to like 5 different types of artists and I'm fine with it. Like, I don't have to act like I'm too cool to listen to like Taylor Swift or Lana Del Rey or something. Like, if I like this artist, guess what? I'm gonna listen to them. I used to be like, oh, I can't wear pink because I'm such a tomboy. Guess what? Pink's one of my favorite colors now. I was wearing black all the time because That was just my aesthetic. And I loved that at the time. But then I'm like, I should also be able to wear color if I want and not have to fit into like a specific like aesthetic or anything. So really experiment with more and more things, and what works for you, wear it. What you feel confident in, wear it. It doesn't matter if it fits an aesthetic. It doesn't matter if that's what you've been doing your whole life. It doesn't matter, you know, XYZ. If you feel called to do it, just do it. Also, I already previously mentioned this, but meditation and journaling can really help unpack so many beliefs about yourself. Like if you have a lot of self-hatred going on, journaling is great because you can just let it out and then be like, okay, I see what needs to be improved. I see like what my subconscious or conscious is feeling and how to fix that moving forward. I know where the work needs to be done. Meditation can also be very beneficial. I know so many people who are like, I can't meditate because I sit there and so many things pop in my head and I have ADHD and OCD and all this stuff and I can't meditate. It's like, you are supposed to see, like the whole point of meditation is reflection, to sit there and see, be the observer of your thoughts. What is popping into your brain? Sometimes I sit in meditation and I get this like random anger that pops up and I'm like, oh God, what's that? Let's explore that a little bit. And I sit there with it and it leads me somewhere to a new thought, a new pattern that I've been keeping that I didn't even know about. That's what meditation is for. It's to unpack the subconscious, and so that you can change those innate patterns and thoughts so that you can move forward with your life in a spiritually, mentally, physically, energetically beneficial way. So even if you're like one of those people that has constant thoughts, practice meditation, go into a quiet place and listen, observe the thoughts. Just notice. Why is that popping up? What is this saying? Why is my subconscious thinking about this? And maybe journal about it and figure out, how did you get to this place? How do you want to transmute these thoughts? Once you transmute the negative thoughts into positive thoughts, that's where the magic is. That's called alchemy. That's how you transform your whole life. A great way to transmute thoughts is to be like, I look so fat today. And you're like, oh, okay, that's a heavy thought. How can I transform this? So you're like, okay, well, I may look so fat today, but I am constantly bettering myself. And I am constantly doing things to help me feel more confident, to help me feel healthier. And if I shed weight in the process, then so be it. But I am bettering myself every day. It's like you're creating a window. You're getting yourself out of this, like, you're not gaslighting yourself. You might want to gaslight yourself. Be like, oh, I'm not fat. I'm beautiful. You know, I'm perfect the way I am. That's true as well. But some people are like, I don't want to gaslight myself. Okay, so you can say, all right, maybe I am fat right now, but I'm constantly bettering myself every day, and I'm constantly improving every single day, and I love myself regardless. You just transmuted that thought. You just created magic. You just put yourself onto a whole different path. So you're not gaslighting yourself. You're just changing the thought pattern. If you are somebody who is a spiritual person, I would also recommend using flower essences to help energetically change your thoughts. For self-love, I love rose flower essences. Flower essences are different than essential oils in that they don't have a smell or really a taste. You can make them yourselves. I might do a whole video of that my own. I've made my own, and I use rose pretty much daily. I would say to use them at least for 21 days to help break that habit, a couple times a day. And rose flower essences can really transform your whole life. They help get out of that like purposelessness and feeling like you're stuck, feeling stagnant, feeling like you can't move forward. And they help really bring in like a new sense of joy, a new sense of belonging and purpose into your life. There are flower essences for pretty much anything, but I think if you're struggling with self-love, I would use a flower essence that is wild rose based. or you can make your own, which is easy to Google, but I might do a video on it myself. But yeah, and these are all the practices that you can do to help cultivate self-love. Now, understand that you are not trying to get to a destination. It is a journey. It is a journey. I'm still on this journey, and I love myself, but I am constantly on this journey, and I say self-love affirmations every day just to remind myself. And there are days when you look in the mirror and you're like, this is bad. This is really bad. But once you have this like practice in place, you can get yourself out of that rut so quickly. And it's really tough in the beginning, but it gets easier as you go on. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel. Please drop a comment on what you do to cultivate more self-love. And thank you so much for watching this video. I love you guys, and goodbye.